Now we have to talk about Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, and some of the new developments. He's currently in custody right now. They're seeking the death penalty for him. And in fact, when he found out they were seeking the death penalty, he didn't really even seem that shocked. He just sat there pretty emotionless. He didn't break down crying. He wasn't screaming. He wasn't yelling. I think, in my opinion, he's a sociopath. I think there has to be some sociopathic tendencies there to pick up a gun and shoot someone like Charlie Kirk, who is just coming to college campuses to have a dialogue. They shot the guy who's a moderate who wants to have a dialogue with people, right? That's how disgusting the left is right now with the political extremism, the political violence. And then there are folks in the media and the mainstream media who's still coming out saying, we don't know the motive. This was like Thomas Crooks. Remember Thomas Crooks in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th, who almost killed President Trump? They said, we don't know his motive. He was MAGA. Excuse me? Objectively speaking, I'm not in Mensa here, okay? But I'm a pretty common sense kind of guy. Someone picks up a gun and shoots Charlie Kirk or shoots President Trump, they're not MAGA. They're trying to take out the biggest conservative political figures in world history. You understand what I'm saying? And so I think it's really a miscarriage of justice that the mainstream media won't just come out and say, you know what? This is a radical leftist who fell down these internet rabbit holes, who was indoctrinated with this woke ideology. He rejected everything his family believed in. He was deranged, and he picked up a gun and he shot Charlie Kirk. And now a mother, Erica, doesn't have her husband or the father of her children. That's what's happening. That's the reality. If the media can't say that, that's the reason your ratings are in the gutter. There's a reason people are turning off the mainstream media right now, because you won't just be straight up with your audience. Tell your audience, this is what is happening. So they also know what's coming down the pike, because I have this weird suspicion, this sneaking, horrible suspicion that if we don't nip this in the bud, the political extremism is going to continue being ratcheted up. You can have copycats. You can have copycats who see what has happened, what happened in Butler, what happened to Irina Zarutska on the train in North Carolina, what happened to Charlie Kirk, and you're gonna have some copycats. And Irina Zarutska, young girl born in 2002, coming home from work, Ukrainian immigrant, came to the United States, she's paying her bills, working in a pizza shop, stabbed, and bystanders did nothing. And now that seems like old news. The media doesn't want to cover that. If we weren't here talking about it, who is? So you have Irina Zarutska, you have Charlie Kirk, all of this violence people are being inundated with on their social media all day long. I pray we don't have copycats. I think we need to have more monitoring of some of these groups online. We have to get into some of these groups and see these chats and these conversations. If there's a group of transgender furries planning an extreme violent attack on a major political figure, I kind of want to know about it. I want to know about it. I'm all for people having their privacy, but we've got to have more behavioral specialists and tech specialists in some of these online chat rooms and groups that are public groups, seeing what's happening. Because they were allegedly in the group, from what we know so far, allegedly in the group, according to Kash Patel, discussing this. They were allegedly discussing this, texting about it, talking about it, and he's apparently all but copped to it. His own father is the one who turned him in, from what we know so far. And so let me read you some of these counts. I know I got off topic, but I'm a little heated over this because I'm sick of the media saying we don't know the motive and we don't know the motivation. The motivation was to take out a big conservative figure. Okay, this guy's probably not right wing. So count one, aggravated murder, a capital offense for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. There are several other counts, like felony discharge of a firearm. The last big counts that I think we need to mention: witness tampering, which is a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police question him. Count 7, commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child. This is a Class A misdemeanor for committing homicide knowing that children were present and they may have seen or heard the murder and did so based on Charlie Kirk's political expression. So they're seeking the death penalty. I'm happy about it. Apparently in Utah, from what I've been told, they have the firing squad. I know some big conservative figures have offered to do the firing squad themselves. We, of course, have to have due process. I want everyone to have due process, but let's get it going. Okay, I don't want us to drag our feet on this for years. Let's get due process and let's bring down the hammer of justice, because there's never really going to be closure for anyone. I actually didn't feel better, if I'm being totally open and candid with you guys. I was watching it live and I put out a tweet immediately with all accounts. When I was watching it live and they said they're seeking the death penalty, I still didn't feel better. Still doesn't bring Charlie back. I still keep thinking of those images and videos of Charlie in the casket, and I'm going, Charlie Kirk is in that casket? Charlie, you tell me Charlie Kirk is in there. It still hits me sometimes throughout the day. And so while I am glad that they are seeking the death penalty because it's what is due, it's what he deserves, it's what he has earned for being a disgusting, vicious assassin, allegedly, it doesn't bring Charlie back. It doesn't bring the closure that I think, we imagine it might, or that it could, but it's something. It's something. And I think it lets other people know, hey, we're going to have the death penalty here. You're going to get the firing squad if you do this. I think this kid thought, in a way, he could get away with this. I think he thought, maybe I'll get away. But then maybe he wanted some fame. Maybe he wanted some infamy and attention for himself. And I think that's also why on this podcast, we haven't put up pictures of Tyler Robinson, because these folks just want attention. We've seen it before time and time again. They want to go down in history as sort of like these sick, folk heroes for the extreme left, right? I think there are folks on the left rejoicing and cheering the fact that Charlie Kirk is dead. You can look on X, you can look on Blue Sky. They're cheering on the fact that he's gone. And I think in some way they look at this guy as like a folk hero, because they've called, figures on the right Nazis, Hitler, threats to democracy. So those folks, I imagine, they believe Tyler Robinson did a good thing, took out a fascist Nazi threat to democracy. And that's, not who Charlie was. He was anything but the sort. Anything but the sort. He was a father, a man of great faith, who loved his kids, who loved his country. He was actually incredibly moderate. He wanted secure borders. He wanted common sense. He didn't want you to waste money on college and come out with nothing. And so I think it is, very, very interesting to see the media and the folks on the left continue to be unmasked. They have not toned down their rhetoric, and they continue to sympathize with the killer. And we have to talk about someone from ABC. Okay, we have to talk about Matt Gutman from ABC. And of course, I have this in the notes because I don't watch ABC very often. So he described text messages between suspected Charlie Kirk killer Tyler Robinson and his transgender roommate as very touching. He said the text between Tyler Robinson and his transgender furry lover were very touching. Okay, they're writing about these people like it's some Shakespearean novel. This is a disgusting killer. Disgusting killer. And the reason your ratings are going down is because you won't just be straight up with your audience. So we actually have a clip of ABC's Matt Gutman. Let's play the clip and then discuss a little bit further.
We have seen an alleged murder with such specific text messages about the alleged murder weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate, who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love.
So I just put my notes down. There's nothing on my phone. I'm putting my notes down because I don't even need to read the notes. He apologized. He issued an apology. I don't think someone who thinks text messages between a killer, alleged killer, and his transgender furry roommate are touching. I don't need to get my news from someone who thinks that's touching. You know what? You know who was touching? Was Charlie Kirk, when he was touching the lives of millions of people and getting them inspired to get involved in faith, family, and conservative values. That's what was touching. You know what was touching? Erica Kirk's address to the nation. Did y'all call that touching? Because I saw a bunch of people on the left denigrating her online, making fun of a widow on the internet. Was that touching for you guys? So I really don't need to even hear this apology. I don't need to read it word for word. If you want to go find it, we put it up on the screen. You can pause. You're welcome to look at it. But I don't take any of these folks seriously. Recently, I learned about colostrum, the very first milk known as liquid gold that babies receive from their mothers after birth, packed with proteins, natural growth factors, antimicrobial peptides that work to enhance your immune response, reduce inflammation, repair and balance gut lining, reduce bloating, and make your hair and skin look amazing. Today's sponsor, Cowboy Colostrum, offers the highest quality cow colostrum available in the US, 100% made in America from 100% American grass-fed cows. They don't overprocess or strip their colostrum, leaving it whole, full fat, and high protein for ultimate nutrient density. It's the highest quality bovine colostrum you can buy. Cowboy is easy to drink, made with delicious natural ingredients and no artificial flavors. Simply add a 3-gram scoop of either our chocolate, Madagascar vanilla, or strawberry into your coffee or smoothie. For a limited time, our listeners get up to 25% off their entire order. Just head to cowboycolostrum.com/link and use code LINK at checkout. That's 25% off when you use code LINK at cowboycolostrum.com/link. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you.